Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from artplace.ca. In today's video, we're going to be doing the texture experiment. And what I've done is I've prepared a couple of things ahead of time to save time. And we're going to be going over 7 different texture products. So what I've done is I've prepared some pieces ahead of time so I can refer to them as I'm doing it so you can see what it looks like. And the experiment is what the texture product looks like on book paper. So I'll put those aside. What I did is I just took old book paper, okay, it's from books that I've rescued from Value Village, and I, instead of the non-sellers going into a bin or something, I just take them and I upcycle them to something that I can make use of. And then the experiments that I do on this, I will upcycle again into embellishments. So what I've done is the book paper, I've used my number 8 Bristle Bright and the Deco Art Media gesso, the white gesso, and I've applied a layer on top of everything. And my experiment will be is what it looks like on top of primed book paper, and just to see transparencies, and then after the fact then we may add some color, depends on time. So what I've done, the first one is going to be Texture Crackle. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Texture Crackle. I had to write it down just so I can make sure I don't lose them. Now, Texture Crackle is made by DecoArt. Now, everything I'm showing is DecoArt, okay, because it's part of the, I'm a helping artist for DecoArt, so I'm going to be featuring DecoArt products. So this is the Texture Crackle. The crackles are nice and small, and the thicker the product, the bigger the crackles, but I really like this because it's subtle. And it comes in a big container like this, and it's paintable. So what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using my trowel, and I'm going to be using the Andy Skinner Mixed Media Stencil is Snake's Webs, just so I can mimic that. And all I'm basically going to do is when I apply the texture, because I want to show you how it applies, is I'll just be wiping down the palette knife with a baby wipe. So I'm going to put the stencil on there. Now the Texture Crackle, if you've done some DIY home renovations, it feels like putty, okay, drywall compound, maybe a bit thicker than drywall compound. Okay, nice and thick, easy to manipulate. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put it through the stencil. Don't have to go over everything. I'm going to lift it up, and there's one done. Holds its shape really, really well. I'm going to put this aside to dry, and oh darn, I have to clean this. So I'm just going to scrape a bit more and put that in there. And you have to make sure you cap really, really tight so it doesn't dry out. So I'm going to clean the stencil, and I'm going to the next one. Now the next one we're going to go over is the Deco Art Media Crackle Paste. Now the Crackle Paste on this particular example, the cracks are very, very large and very, very random. Some there's just a couple of lines, and others there's many lines, very, very thick and textured. Now what I didn't do is I didn't show you. You should be able to see the sides there. Very textured. Has a bit of a gritty finish, which makes it perfect to hold paint. This one is a little bit smoother, but it's got some nice cracks, so you can do some pretty cool antiquing there. And the Crackle Paste, it's almost the same. Now the other one could be a bit stiffer because I leave it open while I'm working. This one seems a bit more fluid, but I believe they actually are the same consistency. Nice and thick, it makes it easy to apply. Now I'm going to take one corner and apply it very thickly so we can see what the cracks look like. Okay. What I should have done is I should have shown you how I cleaned the stencil the first time. So I'll show you in this one. So we're going to put that aside to dry. And what I did first to clean it off is I just put it on my no stick mat, and I just scrape and then put it back in the container. Lift that up very carefully. Scrape that. You don't want to scratch the mat. And then take a baby wipe. And if you can reuse some of this product on, another journal page, that would be even better. Take a paper towel with the product side up, and I can close this now. Again, remember, cap tightly. With the product side up, very, very gently. Wipe this down. Actually, let me do it on here first so you can see. And this one's actually started to dry already on here. It's very warm right now. I know that I can clean this with stencil cleaner when I'm done. But when I do this, and basically it gets all wet here and it gets all wet here. So this is where this comes into play. I come here. So the first thing, I'm just getting it wet, and then I'll just wipe everything off. And turn it over and wipe it off again. So this is how when I'm doing demonstrations like this, because I don't want to be running to the sink cleaning my stencil every single time. But if you are in a crunch and you need to clean your stencil right away, watch this. This is not for everybody. I'm using 99%. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Isopropyl rubbing alcohol, 99%. And it comes clean. Rubbing alcohol cleans everything. It's a bit stinky. Okay, so just keep that in mind if you're going to use that. This is if you have to have it clean. Let's say if you're going to be putting a translucent color on a second, you're going to stencil again. You don't need white in there or anything else, then you might want to just use rubbing alcohol. For myself, I'm fine with this. Okay. Next one, let's put that aside. The next one is Crackle paint. Oh, look at that. Very, very fine. And I can imagine stenciling through a spiderweb stencil. That would be kind of cool. An old brick house. That's kind of neat. So let's try that. And clean the palette knife. Yeah, so that stuff dries really quickly. Even the palette knife it's stuck on there. Now this one here, much more fluid. Okay, it's much more fluid. This one's really, the paper is really, really curled on this one. Oh, and it would help if I had the right thing. These examples were just done on file folders. I just cut up file folders. Oops, I have a dry piece there. Okay. Take that aside, put that aside to dry, I should say. Now instantly clean this. Don't wait. Rub the palette knife. See, if you clean your stencil right away, just get it wet, it's fine. And the purpose of the paper towel on the bottom is so when I start wiping it back, I just don't keep smudging product on the craft mat. It actually gets absorbed into the paper towel. And the paper towel then I can use when wiping down my brushes. There we go, just like before. Put that aside. Okay, so that's a successful cleaning. Next, put that aside. This is the, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. Why have I got a funny feeling? Oh, I mixed it. I mixed that up. Too busy talking. Sand paste. Nice and gritty. This would actually work really well if you're doing some type of beach scene, mixed media. It's actually quite nice, very textured. Yeah, let's see if you can see some of the side pieces here. Now this one here, the grit in it, it kind of sometimes it makes me my shuddering. Oh, you know the nails on a chalkboard. This is what this. Ah. Okay, that's the grit. Any gritty product does this to me. It's like blending stumps with Joe. He can't stand that noise. Okay, put that aside. And let's clean that up. I'll do a quick wipe. This one here you have to be a little bit more careful because it's got the grit in it. So if you're going to be stenciling something else, make sure you wipe everything off this one. You don't want it to be affected by something else. Let me just do an extra wipe on this. All right. Next. Okay, so that gets put aside. Put that aside. And this is dimensional effects. Yeah. This one, I like this one. It's very similar to the modeling paste. I'll show you that next. And it's got a bit of a, yeah, it's almost the same. Actually, yeah, very similar. And it's got a nice feel to it. And all this is flexible. That's the beauty of this stuff. It's flexible. And the dimensional effects. It's nice and thick, so it's easy to manipulate. Not that one. That one. Just like cream. Cream for your cake. Very, very textured. And I was, to save more time, I was going to use different stencils, but I want the results to be the same. So same stencil, same shape type of thing. And this is what you do with, with not breaking your stencil. What you do with art products, if you had sitting in your closet, just gathering dust, experiment with them. See what they do. Combine them. Try all these different things. Okay, now I'm going to do the modeling paste. Again, that's the dimensional effects. The modeling paste. This one here, you get flexible. Very, very nice to work with. Okay, and this one here, this one's a little bit stiffer, which also could be because I use this a lot. Modeling paste. And, I won't be able to reach. This also comes in black. The gesso in the Deco Art Media line, the gesso and the modeling paste comes in white and black. And you just pull it up. Nice and thick. Nice and thick, textured. I now have no place to put this. On top of the laptop. Ooh, Joe sees that, he'll have a freak. Okay, quickly. Now the longer I'm doing this, because the product is sticking more to the stencil, I will end up having to, I'll soak it a little bit in the Deco Art Media, the brush and stencil cleaner. I'll wash it with that and it will be fine. The other thing I like using is 1000 plus stain remover, also known as Winning Colors, for my Canadian fans. Okay, so this one's got to be one of my favorites. Texture glass. I love it. It's clear. It's clear, and it acts as a perfect resist. And I'm currently filming a few videos at the same time because this takes so long to dry. Is that I'm filming them, then I'll be able to, you know, complete them once everything is dry. But it's absolutely beautiful. And this is one where you would want your stencil to be perfectly clean because you don't want any of this other stuff going on the inside the texture glass. Whoopsie. And let's clean this one. This has a very, very high adhesion rate. So once you put it on, clean your tools right away. Very, very fluid. Very, very fluid. And it looks white, but it dries clear. Put this on as thin or as thick as you want. That's why I like using the trowel. If I were to use this one, I would have to really contort my hand to get the flat part of the blade. If you use a trowel, it makes it so much easier. But you gotta clean your tools right away. Close that. Oh, I hear the kids outside. They must be back from day camp. Okay. That is gonna be like that. So just for the sake of argument, I'm going to let everything dry for a day so we can have a full appreciation for drying time. I don't want to say, oh, it's almost dry. Completely dry, and then you'll be able to see what it looks like. And then I will show you, we'll add a little bit of color to it so you can see how the color reacts to the actual textured product. Now there are one or two of the texture products that I haven't shown because they're very, very similar to the modeling. No, you know what? I'm gonna have to get that one because it's the modeling paste, I think. You know what? Let me go and get it. Because I thought it was the same and it's not. The other texture products, because what I was thinking is because they're with color, is Texture Fiero, and it's like gritty, and then there's the ones that feels like stucco. Those have color. I'm not going to be showing those. I just want to show stuff that you can actually paint with. So I brought out the other ones, and I can't believe I forgot these. So I'm going to be working now. These are the larger containers, so the DecoArt modeling paste, texture fine, texture thick, and then I wasn't going to show these, but might as well because you can still add color to these. The DecoArt Texture Fiero, the iron black, and then the Texture Terracotta, which is black. And these ones here, I'm going to be creating 2 samples to show adding 2 different types of color. So let's do the modeling paste first. Similar to the other one, this is nice and thick. This one's drying out a little bit. I've been able to reconstitute this with a little bit of water. Back. So you want a nice, strong palette knife for this. This particular one, the way I have it dried out, is used for creating a lot of texture in the backgrounds and for canvas work. That's what I use this particular one for, because I've dried it out. Because I can now overlap it like this to get that dragging effect. Always lift up the stencil, don't slide it. Now look how thick that is. Retains all that texture. Beautiful. Oh, I forgot to put that in. Shoot. And that needs to be cleaned. The texture products, any texture product added into the background, you can also stencil on top of your art to add additional interest, which looks really nice. It just adds a little bit, and you can do this with any stencil. You can add color, you can spray it. If you stencil like a texture product, like the texture glass, and you apply color and it acts as a resist, which is what I love using it for. Okay, the texture fine. Okay, again, it's paintable texture. This almost reminds me of the texture sand in the Deco Art Media, but a little bit thicker, a little bit grittier. These also, once you paint them, you can also seal them. I'm going to put this one on a little bit thicker to see what happens. This would be good for when you're doing a canvas for a wall. Look how thick that is. So a mixed media wall art piece would be good for that. I can't put that on my laptop. I was posting a question in my private Facebook group. You know, what tools give you the hardest time? They give you the hardest time. Like what just don't you understand or don't like doing? Top two, cleaning your brushes and cleaning your stencils. The brush part isn't too bad, but cleaning stencils, not my favorite thing to do, because I'd rather spend time making art. But if you take care of your stencils, then they'll last you for a long time. These particular stencils here, if I were to get a couple layers of paint on them, wouldn't bother me at all, because there's, you know, it would just add to, you wouldn't have as crisp edges, and you can, you know, would just make it more distressed. But stencils that face out lines and letters and words where you want a crisp edge, then yeah, you need to clean them. Okay, texture thick. Ugh. This reminds me way back on my wall, and when after Joe and I met, we moved into a house and we did the wall in this type of thing, and I was thinking like a fresco look. It's just, that's what this reminds me of. It's very thick. This reminds me of construction compound for houses, because it's so thick. I mean, this would be good for canvases, especially when you need something really thick. Let me just show you how thick that is now. Look how thick that is. There's applications for everything, just depends on what you do with it. in a normal process, what I'm doing now, I would go to a journal page and I would do this. So all this down here could have been applied to something else. No waste. Look how thick that product is. Holy cow, Batman. This one I have to clean my stencil really well because it will stick. Different things too that you can use for these cards. You'd have to get the, use the product that would suit that thing. So you wouldn't use texture thick on a greeting card, especially if it's going to be handled. But you could use texture thick on a mixed media piece or painting or something that's going to sit on the wall. You can get snow riders, which is I don't think I have any snow riders left, which is like a fluffy, think of it like modeling paste, but it's fluffy. You can use that on cards and stuff, ornaments. But I'll have to check to see if I have any snow riders. If I don't, I'll pick one up and then do a demonstration, and I'll link it in this video if I can find it. Okay, we're gonna do 2 of these ones. This is the texture terracotta. These are great for doing outdoor things. And when you see this dry, you'll see why it's called terracotta. I like doing this with pots where they've been really damaged. And this just covers it right up. Even a faux pot, like a paper mache. If you're for indoors, a paper mache pot, you can put that in, or a little wood pot. You want it to look like terracotta, but maybe something more lightweight. Okay, I did 2, so we can try 2 different types of color on there. The texture Fiero is really nice too. Comes in a variety of colors. Same as the terracotta. It comes in a variety of colors. And DecoArt has the color chart on their website. I think it's a downloadable PDF that you can use. Let me just do a bit more on that. Whoopsie. And all these baby wipes that I'm using, they're just going over into a bucket of water where I'm going to actually wash them out. And then I can reuse them when blending paint and stuff like that. I try to reuse as much as possible. And there's a upcoming video where I'm going to be doing blue box stuff. So stuff that's in my recycle box. Using that stuff for art. And Fiero. I love this stuff. Love this stuff. I've created ATCs with this stuff. And just as soon as you see it, you touch it. And it's just a really, really nice feeling to it. Nice and thick. Easy to manage. Looks like granite. I love this stuff. And wonder what would happen. I should try that. What would happen if you mix Texture Fiero with the Crackle paint, the Crackle medium? Would you get crackled Fiero? about the terracotta? What would you do if you, what would happen if you mix the terracotta with the Crackle medium? When you add paints and stuff like that to the mediums, you know, common sense, it weakens the medium. But it would be interesting to see what would happen. And we'll put this on. So in a dry environment, it'll dry. I would say, you know, leave it for the day. It doesn't hurt. And this stuff here, you should not be heat setting, drying with your heat gun, because all you're gonna be doing is drying the top, and the inside itself won't be dry. Where I am right now, it's very hot and humid. So this is going to take longer to dry. And I'm going to be linking all the products that I'm using here, along with the photographs, the before and after photographs, on my blog. So you'll be able to see everything. Because on camera, there's, you know, there's only so much that I can show you. But the stuff that's done, I just wish you could feel the texture on that. All right, so I'm going to really clean my stencil now. And I will see you tomorrow, and we'll see what all this stuff looks like.